This is Inside Tech Football. Today's show is brought to you by Advance Auto. Need a part delivered? PDQ? You'll find it in Advance. By Heilig Myers, we furnish America with value. By Delta Airlines, you'll love the way we fly. By the University Bookstore, your on-campus bookstore. By HQ, for fix-it-yourself home projects, it's HQ to the rescue. And by Kroger. If it's always good and always fresh, it's always Kroger.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's look inside Tech Football. I'm Bill Roth from our Tech studios in Blacksburg. Coming up today, highlights of the Hokies come from behind victory last night over Southern Mississippi. Tech fell behind 14-0, but came from behind to win the game. We'll have highlights coming up in a moment. Also on today's show, Coach Beamer will join us with his thoughts and analysis on last night's game. We'll run down all the Big East action and preview the Hokies conference opener coming up next Saturday at Boston College. Also, Tech wide receivers coach Terry Strock and senior wideout Antonio Freeman will join us to discuss the Tech receiving corps, which is showing its stuff during the first two games of this 1994 season. But first, let's focus our attention to Hattiesburg, Mississippi. That's where the Tech football team was last night, ranked 18th in the nation by the coaches poll, 21st by the Associated Press. Tech was the favorite in this game, but came out, and boy, what a disaster early. Very first play from scrimmage. Maurice DeShazo is sacked by Latson. A fumble, and Southern Miss gets it on the 4-yard line. It was a sloppy beginning for Tech. On first and goal, Larry Green chases down their tailback Buckhalter and runs him out of bounds. But on the next play, Southern Mississippi scores the opening touchdown of the game as Tommy Waters throws this short pass to Adam Kennedy. 24 seconds into the game, Southern Mississippi led it by a score of 7-0. Tech was able to run the football all night long. Dwayne Thomas, who had over 100 yards, gets about 10 here. And then later on this drive on third down, DeShazo finds Kevin Martin, a nice catch for a first down. Freeman had one catch on the day. As the rain began to fall here, you can see the umbrellas pop up at Roberts Stadium. Here's a 20-yard gain from DeShazo to Antonio Freeman. But then things started to go sour for the Hokies. First a sack, and then a field goal attempt, and this would be a tough break for Ryan Williams, who separates his shoulder on this play.
When we dropped the ball back there, Ryan was going to pick it up and kill it, actually throw an incomplete pass, and in doing so, he separated his shoulder. So I'm not sure how long he'll be gone, but he'll be gone for a while. But fortunately, Adler Larson came in and did a nice job for us.
It remained a 7-0 game, Southern Mississippi leading. Later in the first quarter, here's a run by Thomas. Tech was able to run the ball, but watch what happens on the next play when Tech tries to throw it. DeShazo is sacked. And then another special teams fiasco as Robbie Colley drops the snap on a punt attempt.
You know, we talk about the operation on our punt team, and of course we had a new snapper in there, Tim Wade. The first punt snap was a little bit low, and of course it was a little wet, and that threw us off. Second one, I thought the snap was good enough. It was a little bit low, but we had to go down and get it, but I thought Robbie just mishandled it. You know, something when, you know, in practice we work on bad snaps and getting them out of there. But of course you add with that, it was a little slick out there. It was missed in a little bit.
So Southern Miss had first and goal on the 2. Jim Barron throws down the quarterback Bentley on first down, but on second and goal from the 10-yard line, Waters back in at quarterback, hands to Buckhalter, who slips through a tackle and takes it in, and Southern Mississippi has a 14-0 lead. Tech's offense got the ball back. Edmonds with a nice run. And then on third down, later on this drive, as the Hokies are in Southern Miss territory, here's a short pass to Dwayne Thomas. It sets up a 4th and 2, and the Hokies go for it on 4th and 2.
Two tight ends on the left side. Yep, backs are in the eye. Now Martin and Jennings and Edmonds. 3 men in motion to the right now, and they line up wide right. 4th and 2 on the 20. Here's a toss right. Thomas running, turns the corner. First down to the 17-yard line. Corny White comes in motion from our right to our left. Here's a give to Dwayne Thomas running off the left side, leaping across the goal line. Touchdown, Tech.
Great job there. Good running again by Thomas. Saw that seam there. Good blocking at the point of attack. He just blew up in the hole. He's been running hard all day, and he showed there. Broke the plane of the goal line. It was a late call by the official. Nevertheless, touchdown Hokies.
That made it 14-7. And the Hokies had all the momentum after this interception by Torian Gray. And the Hokies are on the move in Southern Miss territory, down 14-7. Bryant Still had a terrific night last night in Hattiesburg. He had 4 catches for 93 yards, including this one, which gave Tech a first down. To the second quarter we went, 14-7 the score. Hokies down by 7, setting up a 4th and 1.
On the 7-yard line, Tech needs to get to the 6. 2 tight ends in the game. The backs are in the eye. 4th and 1. Thomas runs, no gain. He was thrown backwards for a 3-yard loss.
And it remained 14-7 Southern Miss. Eagles couldn't run the ball. After getting it over, Buckhalter got 1. And then on 3rd down, McGee gets a couple here, but the Hokies swarm all over. And look at Del Rico coming around, along with Hank Coleman to make the tackle. That forces a punt. Tech gets it back. Thomas was a busy man last night with over 100 yards. Gets a few there. And the Hokies offense gets it in gear here. DeShazo finds Holmes on the left sideline. This is a first down inside the Southern Mississippi 25-yard line. And then Maurice. Rolling to his right, we'll find Cornelius White. This gets Tech even closer. Later, Tommy Edwards would take care of the rest for the Hokies.
Backs are in the eye. Edwards and Renal White behind DeShazo. Here's a give to Tommy. Puts his head down to the 2-yard line. Still gets those legs churning. He got in there. Touchdown Tech.
Coming over to the right side of the line there. Good blocking at the point of attack. And boy, wait till you see the replay on here. T.J. Washington comes out there. He kind of picks up Tommy Edwards by the shoulder pads and helps pull him into the end zone there. Great effort on his part.
So after trailing 14-0, Tech had tied it up, and the defense was superb. Cornell Brown stops Colware for 1. Brandon Simonis was exceptional last night. Look at him making the tackle here on Lee on that middle screen. And a late 46-yard field goal attempt by Johnny Lamoro was wide left for Southern Miss. And at halftime, Tech had dominated the stats, and it was tied 14-14. At halftime, the Hokies and Southern Miss tied 14-14 last night in Hattiesburg. Despite the fact that Tech played a sloppy early first quarter, the Hokies dominated. They outgained Southern Miss 192-71 in the first half. It was tied at 14 at the break. Before the second half highlights, this week's features. You know, the Hokies have made some changes on their staff. Some new fellas are on this year's staff. And with more on that, here's Mike Burnup with this week's edition of Frankly Speaking.
Coach, let's talk about some of the staff changes you've had here this year.
Well, first we've added 2 new graduate assistants, and these positions are getting to be quite competitive. We used to have 5. They've cut it back to 2. So we've had a bunch of people apply for this, but Brian Chris, son of Dave Chris,
Sure.
coach here at Blacksburg High School, but he wants to be a coach, and he's going to be a good one. He's one of our graduate assistants. And then Ricky Cruz, who came to us from VMI. That's where he worked last year. And Ricky's got quite a bit of experience. He's our other GA, but both these guys have done an outstanding job. Then a real important addition would be Gary Tranquil. We lost a good football coach in Ricky Bussell. Guy did a nice job for us last year. We've added a good football coach in Gary Tranquil, and a guy that can bring to us knowledge and formations and motions, and our philosophies are very much the same. Toughness, good tough offense, but unpredictable counteraction in your offense and attack the whole field.
Coach Tranquil, he's kind of like Coach Elmation out there. He gets fired up on the field. I've seen that hat fly a few times. So he brings to the offense what Coach Elmo brought to your defense, I guess.
Well, they're both good coaches. People coach their own way, and I don't try to change that, or I don't want to. I want them to be themselves and do what is best to get the best results out of the kids. But Gary is a fiery coach. He coaches his quarterbacks more like an offensive guard, some people say, and but he does well. He's very knowledgeable. He gets his points across, and I think Maurice is taken to this very, very well.
Another thing that DeShazo likes is his depth at his wide receiver positions. You know, last night at Southern Miss, 7 different Hokies caught passes from DeShazo, and Last night we saw that Brian Still could be a big play guy. In the opener against Arkansas State, it was Jermaine Holmes who had over 80 yards in catches. It is that depth at receiver that makes the Hokies offense so wide open and explosive, and that's the feature of this week's Tech Up Close.
Ball is on the left hash mark. Ark stayed to the 4-3 defense. First down, DeShazo back to throw. Bump fake short, now lets it fly long. Holmes is down there, and he has it at the Arkansas State 30.
Tech passing attack is picked up right where it left off last year when Maurice DeShazo threw for a school record 22 touchdowns. This year, Tech's passing game can be even better with depth at both the split end and flanker positions.
We feel like that, you know, we have either 5 or 6 wide receivers that can play basically any time in any situation.
Having White and Still at flanker takes a lot of the pressure off of me, and as well having Jermaine Holmes at X split end, because those are some guys that can go out and make plays every week also. And you know, those guys, they'll get their fair share of shots to make big plays this year, and I'm sure they'll take advantage of it.
And also helps to keep fresh receivers in the ballgame, because again, they do a lot of running. Not necessarily just on passes, but when we're running the football, we're expecting to get downfield. They may run 30 yards just to make a block. So it helps to keep them fresh and also allows us to use them in a lot of different formations.
DeShazo, a first down throw. The senior throwing it over the middle. He has his man Freeman at the 40, breaks free, down the right side to the 30, down to the Arkansas State 20, and he steps out of bounds coyly on the 19-yard line.
All right, welcome back to the show. Tech and Southern Miss tied 14-14 at halftime. Again, the Hokies had a game full of turnovers and penalties, but they were running the ball right over Southern Miss. It was only a matter of time, you thought, before the Hokies would take the lead in this football game. But, boy, what a frustrating evening it was last night. It turned out to be a real thriller in Hattiesburg. Second half, Tech's defense all over the Eagles early. Cornell Brown with a sack, and the Tech defense inspired.
3rd and 16 on the 15. The quarterback, Waters, sends a man in motion to the far side. That is Kendrick Lee. Waters goes back to throw. He fires it down the field, and this ball is going to be intercepted. It's picked off by Larry Green, and down he goes, and the Hokies have it on the 34-yard line.
After a penalty, the Hokies, Maurice DeShazo, a short pass here to Dwayne Thomas on the left side. And in a tie game, it looks like the Hokies would take the lead. Otto Larson waiting on the sidelines for a chance to give Tech the lead. Here's a great catch by Martin, a diving grab over the middle. That puts Tech in field goal range. And now Larson, 39-yard attempt, just misses wide to the right. And the game remains tied at 14. On the next possession, Hokies again moving the football. Jermaine Holmes, a 9-yard grab. And then the Hokies run what Coach Beamer calls just part of their offense. A reverse to Brian Still. What a night he had last night in Hattiesburg. He picks up the first down. Again, the Hokies offense is in gear now in Southern Miss territory. Here's a pass. Cornelius White brings the ball to the 31-yard line. You're convinced Tech's going to take the lead here now, right? Well, DeShazo on the next play rolls to his right. He's looking right, and then all of a sudden, intentional grounding, and the Hokies start going backwards. And even when they got a big run, like this 20-yard gain by Dwayne Thomas, it would have moved the Hokies closer. A holding penalty called it back. Tech tried to move the football. Southern Miss stopped it, and then it was 3rd down and 41 yards to go. It's time to throw the football up and see what happens here after that series of penalties, and it is incomplete. But Southern Miss's offense was throttled all night by Tech's defense. Only 140 yards of offense for the whole night by Southern Miss. There's a bomb by their quarterback, Waters, incomplete. Tried to throw it again because Tech's defensive line wouldn't let him run it. And this pass is incomplete over there on the right sideline. So the Hokies get the ball back on first down. Here's a toss to Tommy Edwards, who had a terrific night last night. He picks up 9 yards over there. And then more problems for DeShazo. Again, rolling right, throws back across the field, but right to Ratcliffe, their cornerback on that far side. Southern Miss gets the ball back in Tech territory, and look at this. The Tech defense swarming Waters. Forcing a field goal, Johnny Lamoro on. This will be a 50-yarder, but it is wide to the left, and the game remains tied still, 14-14. On the next possession, the Hokies, who are wearing their all-white for the first time in 5 years, first time since '89, white jerseys and white pants when they beat NC State in Raleigh. Brought these up because of the expected heat. Here's DeShazo running for a first down on an option keeper. Things are going well for Tech here. Again, they've crossed midfield in Southern Miss territory. Thomas down to the Eagle 28-yard line. But then DeShazo, misreading a blitz, decides to throw it to the right corner. And this ball is intercepted by Herbie on the 2-yard line. We go to the fourth quarter, still tied at 14. Brandon Simonis, who played so well last night with 8 tackles, stops Lee on the reverse. Then a series of turnovers.
Line, first down and 10. Southern Miss shows blitz. Here's an option to the right. DeShazo pitches it. A fumble. Thomas kicks it ahead. It's rolling down the field, and Southern Miss has it. Quarterback Tommy Waters up under his center, Kenny Ray, and the senior snaps it. Waters back to throw. Pump fakes. Now throws over the middle. It is intercepted by Gray. Hokies have it again, and Gray runs it out to the 38-yard line.
Teams combined for 9 turnovers. Who wants to win this game? 14-14 to the fourth. Now the Tech offense shows its stuff. DeShazo to Martin. This turns out to be the game-winning drive, folks. Midway through the fourth quarter. Here's DeShazo rolling left, and he'll find Edmonds. And then Dwayne Thomas, a terrific run to the Southern Miss 41-yard line. Terrific game for Dwayne Thomas.
Now Thomas comes in motion to the left. On second down, DeShazo pulls out, takes the handoff, rolling right, looking to throw. Has time, lets it fly into the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown Tech. Brian Still hauls it in. It's a 41-yard touchdown bomb.
But this particular play, I'm over there on the sideline screaming, run it, because I just wanted that first down. I wanted to keep those chains moving, get on down there and kick a field goal. Thank goodness Maurice is in there because, you know, that gambling part about him, he sees Brian Still down there. He stops, he pops, and takes it down the field, and Brian makes a nice catch, and now we're up by 7. And, boy, I tell you, I took a sigh of relief. Maurice kind of took me out of our misery there because he put the quick one on the board.
Tech led 21-14, but it wasn't over yet. Look what happens here. A fumble football, but DeShazo picks it up and actually gains 4 yards out of this.
Fumble on the play.
Then on the third down play, late in the game, the Hokies' DeShazo, who made the big play when he had to, finds Brian Still again right in front of the Tech bench. And with 2:40 to go in the game, Otto Larson knocks home a field goal. And that puts Southern Miss away, and Tech comes out on top on the road, 24-14. All right, so the Hokies knock off Southern Miss 24-14, a terrific come-from-behind victory that certainly was exciting. After the game, we sent our cameras down inside the Tech locker room to talk with a number of the victorious Hokies, including Brandon Simonis, who played a terrific game last night. The young man had 8 tackles and said it was another total team effort.
Yeah, this game was definitely a total team effort. We came down here, tough situation. I mean, these are a tough bunch of guys we were playing, and we just came out, and when the offense was lacking, the defense took up for them, and vice versa for the others.
Yeah, our offense had a lot of positive things, but we did have a lot of negative things too. We turned the ball over, but we still came back and made big plays, and you know we pulled out the win.
Yeah, I think we go hand in hand, the offense and defense. You know, the defense played great, you know, and we made mistakes at times, and we did some good things at times. We just got to be more consistent.
Well, I'm really impressed the way we came out on defense and stopped them because, I mean, offense had a lot of turnovers, but, you know, Coach always tells us that there's going to be at least 3 crises in the game, and, you know, if we're strong and we pull together, you know, we can overcome those crises, and we had a lot more than we expected, but as a team we pulled together, and, you know, now we see we can do anything.
Nice job last night for Gray. He had 2 of the Hokies' 3 interceptions. You know, it says a lot about the character of a football team to play on the road, have a lot of turnovers, have a lot of adversity, and spot the home team a 14-0 lead, and then come back to win. That is exactly what the Hokies did last night in Hattiesburg. After the game, that's what Mike Brennup and Coach Beamer talked about in the steamy locker room.
Well, Bill, we're in a happy locker room here with Coach Beamer. Coach, 2 years in a row, you start the season at 2-0. Congratulations, but it was a tough one.
It was a struggle. But I'll tell you this, I couldn't be more proud of a football team, and we just gave our defensive team a standing ovation in the locker room. I thought they just played absolutely great. You talking about determination, all the things you look for in a defense. I thought we probably showed it there tonight. I really thought Southern Miss came after us, but we put them in such great field position that you know, we just gave them 2 scores. But I just can't say enough about our defense. And I'll say this too, Mike, though, our offense at the end, you know, we had to take control there, and at the fourth quarter, our offense came back and did some nice things too, and I'm proud of those guys.
So the Hokies go to 2-0 with a victory over Southern Mississippi. Let's check out the other scores from around Big East Conference football yesterday. Last night, Miami all over Arizona State, 47-10. The Canes go to 2-0. Hokies also 2-0 with a win at Southern Miss. Syracuse even its record at 1-1, winning on the road at Cincinnati, while the Pitt Panthers get their first win of the season over Ohio University. Rutgers is 2-0. The Scarlet Knights knock off West Virginia 17-12. Temple and Boston College had the week off. Next Saturday, the Hokies will be in Boston to take on those BC Eagles in the Big East opener for both teams. Boston College is 0-1 on the season after a season-opening loss at Michigan 2 weeks ago. The Hokies go to town undefeated, 2-0 on the season. That does it for this week's show. A week from today, we'll have the highlights of the Hokies and Boston College on our next edition of Inside Tech Football.
This has been Inside Tech Football, brought to you by Advance Auto. Need a part delivered, PDQ? You'll find it in Advance. By Heilig Myers, we furnish America with value. By Delta Airlines, you'll love the way we fly. By the University Bookstore, your on-campus bookstore. By HQ, for fix-it-yourself home projects, it's HQ to the rescue. And by Kroger, if it's always good and always fresh, it's always Kroger.